Hey, I'm Guy Powell, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. And if you haven't already done so, please visit ProRelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. I am the author of the upcoming book, The AI Marketing Machine. And if you want more information on that, please go to marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. It's going to be a fascinating book. I think I've been doing these interviews, and they are the basis of a lot of the stuff that will be put into the book, and so I'm sure it's going to have some really good value. Today I'm interviewing Satej Sirur from Rocketium, and a fascinating individual, and looking forward to hearing his opinion on some of the stuff that's going on. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He is the CEO of Rocketium, and he boasts an illustrious 19-year career crafting innovative software products, honed through his roles as an early team member at tech giants such as Microsoft and AWS. Fueled by passion for automating mundane tasks and a relentless commitment to pushing creative boundaries, Satej finds daily inspiration at Rocketium. How more true can that be when you're looking for new things? So, Satej, so good to have you. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Satej, tell us about your backstory on AI and marketing. How did you get involved in this crazy business?
Yeah, so AI as a practitioner, as somebody who has studied software, built software, was always something that I was dabbling in. But marketing was something that I got thrust into without even knowing about it. So Rocketium as a company has been around for a decade now. But 5 years ago, when one of the largest e-commerce marketplaces wanted to solve a problem related to their ad business and working with their advertisers, they had approached us to build a product of their own. And that's when the light bulb moment went off for us to say that we should be building this product. So, as somebody who has no idea about design or marketing or paid media, any of those things, we said, what's the best way to learn about it? Build something, work with people who are dabbling in this on a daily basis, solve their problems. And over the last 5 years, that is what we have done. So, wouldn't say we are experts in marketing, but really we are experts in how marketers work, how creative people work, and how we can improve their operations. And AI, obviously, from the early days, it was easy to add that in relevant places, but today it has really gone bonkers. The amount of things that it can enable you to do, not only building better products, but also how we build products. It has allowed us to write better software, write faster software, go to market with more interesting features, and give the magical experiences to customers that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they used to ask us those things, we used to just scoff at it, saying that, "Oh yeah, you want a magical unicorn? Of course, ask us anything and we'll do it." But now it is actually possible.
Yeah, that is so true. And, it is really amazing what you can do and what you can automate with AI. So, very good with that. So tell us a little bit about Rocketium.
Yeah, so Rocketium is a software built for companies who deal with creative content on a large scale. They make this content at a large scale, deploy it to different paid marketing or owned channels at a large scale. And the support that is needed to make them, review them, analyze it, get insights from it in order to figure out what has to be done next, all of that happens on our product. So over the years, the product has expanded from being just a scaled up version of Adobe Photoshop or tools like Figma to now being a full-fledged collaborative design product, a performance analytics software specifically for creative content, as well as more recently we've launched an AI co-pilot to help you work with our software and understand insights from it in a much more natural way.
Yeah, interesting. So tell us what you mean by streamlining ad creative production. What and how does that all come together?
So the way typically ad creatives used to be made is you have a marketing team or some sort of business team within an enterprise who knows what sort of content they want, have a rough shape of what the design should look like, and they would give what is called a marketing brief to a design team. The design team obviously has a strong understanding of the brand's tone and voice and design ethos and all of that. And they are the experts in using design software. So they are the ones that get the brief and then put it together on a design software and then hand it back to that original team saying, hey, here are the 5, 10, 15 files that you wanted me to make. Review them. That team looks at it manually, gives feedback. Once they deploy it, then they are looking at different channels, seeing how something is performed. So this process is very simple, looks very streamlined, but where it goes crazy is on two dimensions. One is if it is not 5, 10, 15 pieces of content, but 5, 10, 15,000 pieces of content every month, which is the case with a lot of large companies. Along with that is when you do not have just one team of 2 or 3 people who is dealing with this, but several teams of several hundreds of people who have to deal with it. That's when the process really spans, I would say rather sprawls multiple tools. It goes through a lot of back and forth. Everybody feels like they're on a treadmill and still they don't get content that they need. They're spending so much on hiring, on working with production agencies. At the same time, insights are hard to come by. Different people have different visions of what this large elephant is. Those five blind men and the elephant sort of a story. So that's really why something like this is needed. So what streamlining ad creation, the production part of it would achieve is to allow design teams to templatize and standardize their designs. So make it in your Adobe Photoshop, Figma like tools, bring it into a tool like Rocketium to templatize designs. When the brief comes, take hundreds of rows of information of the different products, different audiences, different copy versions, design versions that you want, feed it into this system, which can then spit out all the hundreds or thousands of pieces of content, do one level of checks of brand guidelines, about design guidelines, about best practices, and so on, and then tell you to do the rest. So as a person, you have a lot more control over that, but instead of having to make every piece of content and check it manually, you are only looking at it at the end. And then collaboration happens in the same place, deploying to channels, and then analysis of that also happens in the same place. So the streamlining would, by design, it would have to touch every part of the process and remove wherever there are inefficiencies, which happen to be a lot and in many places.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like, that streamlining of the process is definitely a really great opportunity for AI to really help and speed the process, certainly by streamlining it, but also to, I think, improve the quality of it. It seems like the improved collaboration, instead of the friction that takes place when you're doing any kind of creative development, once that friction is now reduced, then you have more ability to be more creative and collaborate and hopefully come up with a better result.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, so where do you see things going as the role of AI now evolves? Do you see it continuing to just handle the process, or do you see it branching out into being taking over some of the creative spots, or where do you see the role changing now and over I don't know, the next day, the next week, the next month? It's because it's changing so fast.
No, and we are lucky to live in this golden age because thanks to capitalism and free-flowing money, every one of these tech providers is trying to one-up each other. So, of course, there will be a lot of creative destruction because of this, not just in the marketing world, but across industries. But yeah, we have to do the best we can with what is happening. But if you ask me where this thing is going, today it's very easy to apply AI in two ways. One is at the very beginning to say that just give me ideas for what I should be doing. Give me the broad direction in which I should go, or generate many different concepts so that a more creative person, somebody who understands the business, a deeper marketing knowledge that somebody has, can start with those ideas and then mold it, sculpt it, and then take it forward. It can also help us in the day to day, the minor tasks that happen. Like I said, checking for whether some things are aligned or certain words are not being used, or is there enough contrast between text and its background. These are things that people used to do manually, and it's just not a fun thing to do. It's also a place where you can make a lot of mistakes. So AI can and should help over there. Where it is going, I think, is especially with the word agents is being thrown around freely. But I think what that means is that you have these specialized tools, whether it is built by software, whether it is AI, whether it is something else, those can now talk to each other. So the example that I gave of a brief, you don't have to have as structured a brief where you tell exactly these are the 5 dimensions of content, these are the exact 5 copies, these are the images that you need to use. You could have more freely given that brief to say that, hey, we are trying to do it for these 5 audiences. The copy needs to be two or three kinds, like maybe a more premium, maybe a more cost conscious, maybe for a new customer and so on. And then AI, instead of one AI, which is used as an axe or a sledgehammer, you have several scalpels or almost like a Swiss Army knife, several of them which are good at individual things. One is taking that brief and generating fabulous copy. One is taking that copy and checking it against maybe past data and telling you what is working, not working, something, and kind of whittling down the options to a fewer things. Design wise, coming up with design options, again, removing the options that are not according to your brand voice or according to your past design options, reducing those choices. And so that way, if you can look at the whole step and say that in the past, we have worked with AI that is trying to do each of these individual pieces. Instead of now moving to a single AI where you write a prompt and it does everything, then why even write a prompt? Let it do everything, right? But that won't be the way it will work. Instead, it'll be this collaborative AI's agents that would work and do individual pieces because they're all experts at their job. And obviously, people can come in before you push the big red button to make your campaigns live. They are looking at what are the decisions. And if you have the power of both AI as well as software, giving people the option to go in and actually modify things and get it to their liking.
So what you're saying is, and it makes a lot of sense, is that you're taking the creative process and to some extent you're providing more freedom by not being as specific previously, but then you're allowing then an AI agent to be more specific potentially in a very specific area of the creative process. And that makes a lot of sense. And I think that is definitely how things are going to evolve. And I do like the idea of just having the AI kind of support you in the brainstorming and coming up with ideas that you may not have even thought about. And, so as humans, certainly we're going to be on the creative side of things and be able to provide that. But nevertheless, the AI can help to guide that or help to support that and come up with maybe, a handful of other ideas that wouldn't have even, come about. And, the other thing that I've always found is that creative folks, I mean, all of us in marketing especially, we're always under pressure to get something done by today and, or yesterday. And so we don't have time and our creative juices may at sometimes ebb and flow. And so the AI process can support that and hopefully to develop better creative. Now, one of the big challenges, though, that larger organizations have is that there are a lot of different groups working on different pieces of the process, and so you have the agency piece. You've got one agency doing one part of the production, and you've got the other doing something else, and you've got then the internal teams approving and driving and managing. So, how can AI kind of support that role, given all of these disparate teams that are taking place?
Yeah, so I would say AI will do some parts of it, which is that the repetitive parts that each of these teams are doing, some parts of it don't have to be done by anyone. So the work around the work, which is approving, getting status updates from somebody, updating something, that completely goes away because now AI is automating that. Now, what does it mean for certain billing for agencies or certain internal roles? That is out of this conversation, but that will certainly be a question for teams about where they are spending money. But that is one part of it. But really, where AI plus SaaS software, the older world that we used to live in software, but that I think needs to come together, where the software needs to be unified and brought together so that people are working on one system instead of working across 6 systems that are purpose built for one thing. So AI can connect those tools, but really having one single system of record where approvals, briefs, content, insights, all are sitting in one place. That's at least our view. So in some ways in the past, CRMs have tried to do that, but when it comes to marketing and creative content, there hasn't been a single place that has done that. And we and a few other companies are trying to solve that problem. But AI will improve the process in some of those steps, but you still need a view, a single repository for teams to collaborate over. And that is what software will bring in.
Yeah, definitely. Now, one of the challenges, though, that you have on AI, and certainly with disparate teams, is the brand I don't know if you call it brand safety, but certainly that's a good one. Brand, following brand guidelines and brand compliance and things like that. How do you see that taking place in your process so that, the brand is still the brand and doesn't get diluted by something that might come out of these teams and the AI now as almost a full-fledged team member?
Yeah, that's a great question, Guy. The way this thing typically happens is that there would be brand guidelines which are set in stone, black and white documents, PDFs, and PPTs that are agreed upon at some time. Your agency, your internal teams, you agree upon it. And over time, there is naturally a drift because some people care about the outcomes and they say that a little bit of bending of the rules is okay. And then there are some teams who come in and say that, hey, we have to rubber stamp this thing, just legal, or somebody else has to go through something and they add themselves to the process. A lot of times the conscientious teams are actually spending the time and they are adding days and weeks to the process of something that could have gone live. They are manually looking at something and checking and doing the back and forth. And again, like I discussed earlier, there are multiple tools over where something is happening. Files are sitting somewhere else, they are made somewhere else, they are reviewed somewhere else, feedback is given somewhere else. So that is how it operates today. And the best of teams are working like this. So with AI coming in, being able to tell it that these are our brand guidelines, being able to update that quickly if something changes, being able to add exceptions because let's say this is a new region, this is a new product launch, or something else has changed because maybe it's a Black Friday season and maybe you want to say some things that you were not saying before, right? Or any of those examples. So being able to set those up and have it do it, and almost like on the design side, how we were saying, instead of having you make all of the edits and versioning, having you become almost an editor, that somebody else has done the work, you are looking at it. Obviously, you're putting your stamp on it, looking at every single part of it, but then just saying that this looks okay or not okay, and being the final person who passes it through. Same way here, if there are on average 30 to 50 checks per piece of design that have to be done, and multiply that with 1,000 pieces of design a day, that gets out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's, that it's kind of the fun, well, I don't know if you call it the fun side, but the maybe it's the challenge side for AI is now that you can do all of this hyper personalization, now you have to figure out a way to actually approve it and make sure that it fits, legally as well as with your brand guidelines and otherwise. So, that can be a very interesting challenge. Now, there's a term that's kind of coming up. It's called creative analytics. What do you see that's taking place under, as the analytics for your creative kind of now comes to the fore?
Yeah, guys. So what we are seeing here is that typical analytics that are done for any campaign, whether paid or owned channels, focuses more on the campaign of it. Who was sent the content? How much did we spend? How many click through and so on. Very little analysis is done of what people saw. The real human equation, the real human touch point of a guy or a Satej seeing something and responding to it, feeling something, that's completely out of the equation today. And that is the gap that creative analytics is trying to solve, which is to say that, yes, an ad or an email or a landing page, whatever, converted a certain way. But what was in the visual messaging or the creative that was within it? There was certain copy, there was certain assets, design languages, layouts that were there, and how did they perform? So now what typically analytics is focused on is campaign analytics. Who saw a piece of content, how many clicked on it, how many took action, but they remove from the equation the human touch point, the human feeling that came from seeing the piece of content. So what creative analytics is trying to do is to bridge that gap. In addition to getting the campaign analytics from the platforms, it's trying to add information about the layouts, colors, models, copy, even nuances of what was in the copy. Was it a budget focused copy? Was it a more emotional sort of copy? What was the brand tone used and so on? That will allow teams to make more informed decisions about what should they be trying in the future, what sort of messaging or what sort of imagery is not working. And we believe that's a very important part of the equation that people are missing out on today.
Yeah, and actually it's kind of interesting because the getting the creative quality down to a very specific piece of creative is a challenge. And and I think you're right. There is an opportunity to really drive that creative analytics so that you can not only get kind of the big campaign creative to say, hey, this thing, was wildly successful or it wasn't as successful as before, but now take that and actually break it down into its core components, whether it's what kind of emotions that came out of it, and then use that to really hone your creative altogether. I like that idea. I haven't heard that one. That one makes a lot of sense. So the big question, though, of course, is so what is your crystal ball on AI's future? So what do you see in the crystal ball? What's going to happen tomorrow, or maybe it's what's going to happen this afternoon with AI as it's changing so rapidly?
Yeah, Guy, we are living in this extreme hot and cold world. Forget the politics and economy and all of those things. Even in the business world, as we are talking to some companies, some are extremely excited by AI but have no idea what it is. And they just say that, oh, AI means I should just type or even think or say something and everything should happen, right? So obviously they live in a more future world where this kind of thing is possible. But that really hampers adoption by their teams because they're not trying to solve a problem that is here and now, but trying to really leapfrog maybe half a decade, right? So that I think is something that will change once people really get their arms around what AI is. Another set of people really see AI as a boogeyman, as a four-letter word. They have no idea what it will do. And AI committees and safety committees and all have come in and they say that no AI. And AI was used in the word might be new to a lot of people, but whether it was translation, whether it was text to speech or any of those things, that has been around for decades now, right? And we don't fear that. But now a lot of companies are putting these artificial barriers to say, oh, there is AI in this, let's not even adopt it. And this hot and cold happens sometimes within the same company. That one set of people wants something, they want to bring it in. Another team at the last minute might come in and say, okay, freeze, don't do anything. So I would say the big unlock is going to happen when more and more people stop fearing it and start embracing it and are very clear about where they want to apply it instead of just using it as a catch-all bucket to say, AI, go, make everything better. They're now going to say, okay, here are 20 steps in my process. I want to come in and improve 5 of those with AI, 4 I don't want to touch, and 11 I want to see about it later, right? So I think that is where the future is going to be. All of us are incentivized to make our products better. Like I said, there is an arms race going on of these technology providers who are doing incredibly amazing things, and we just have to take it and put it in our product. So we are very blessed to have such software. So we and a lot of others are making our software even better for our customers. So I think it's a golden age to be building software and to be customers of software. But then there is the dark ages also could be ushered because so many jobs could be lost. But and we try to focus on the positives, try to make sure people who have the jobs can enjoy it, spend time with their families, make better decisions, do more for their teams and their businesses.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you're right, and I don't know yet if the jobs are going to be lost net. I mean, certainly there's going to be a transition of jobs. It's not going to be you're going to be doing this piece over here, and now it's going to be you're going to be doing something similar to that, but it's going to be AI supported, and because of that, then you're also going to be adding on other functions or other capabilities, so that overall potentially either the quantity of work goes up, but hopefully also the quality of work and then the effectiveness of all of that work goes up. Because at the end of the day in marketing, if we're not helping to support generating sales in the short term and brand in the medium term, then all of this effort and all of this investment has no value. And AI is definitely going to be able to support us to do that. So as much as I'd like to keep going, very interesting conversation and some great ideas, Satej, I do have one last question for you, and that is, what advice would you give an up-and-coming new marketer, somebody that's trying to now break into marketing, so to speak, and now finding, maybe not resistance from AI, but some challenges that are being created by AI for up-and-coming marketers?
Yeah, I would say we have to go back to the basics and define what marketing is really about. If we define our job as coming up with copy or writing a brief or reviewing something, then some or all of those jobs could be done by software. So really, we have to go back and say, what am I really here for? With or without software. Earlier, we were using Google Docs, and then there was Word before that, but that didn't change the fact that I had to write a story, right? So we really have to go back and go to the why, go to the what am I really here for? What am I trying to do? What are my strengths as an individual? What do I bring to the table? But yeah, the reality is most of these jobs are going to be done by AI. And like you said, done doesn't mean it's going to replace jobs. It's going to augment it in some way. But if that is the case, then your boss or your boss's boss is going to say, what is this person doing? If it is just writing a prompt in this saying, generate a blog post, it might feel like a silver bullet today saying, I don't have to sit and write all of this content. But really, was your job to write that blog post, or was it something beyond that, right? And the blog post was just a medium and not the end.
Yeah, and I think that quite often marketers kind of lose that connection that, the goal is to write a blog post. No. The goal is to generate more sales or improve the brand. And to do that, we have to write a blog post. And I think quite often marketers lose that because they get stuck in the weeds and worried about, all of the different elements to make a great blog post, as opposed to what is it and how is it that I'm going to use this blog post or series of blog posts to be able to generate more sales and build the brand. So yeah, thank you. And I think that is a critical piece certainly for a new marketer, to make sure that it's not just a kind of a functional job. It's a functional job certainly, but with an objective to drive sales in the brand. Yeah. Well, thank you, Satej. Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunately we've got to break off, but really great to talk to you, and hopefully we'll be able to maybe talk in a couple of weeks, couple of months, or whatever, when things have changed again, and see what's going on in the world of AI and marketing.
Thanks so much, Guy. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely, you too. And so, where can people find out more about you and your company?
So my name is Satej Sirur. I'm available on LinkedIn. Most of my team is there as well. But Rocketium.com is our website. It has all the information about what we do, what sort of companies will benefit from partnering with us. So I would recommend everyone that they check out our website. Yeah,
fantastic. So Rocketium.com, and then Satej Sirur, and it'll be in the show notes, of course, and we go from there. So again, thank you so much, Satej. Really appreciate it, and great to learn more about AI and marketing. For the audience, please stay tuned for many other videos in this series on the backstory of AI and marketing. And if you want to learn more about my upcoming book, The AI Marketing Machine, please go to marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. Satej, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Guy.